Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Biden, we see the writing on the wall, is going to simply drop out or resign from the 2024 nomination process. He will it's very easy. He remains as president. Hit subscribe to this channel. I will explain exactly what's going to go on. Okay, the writing is on the wall. Donors, loyal Democrats are abandoning ship. They're leaving him, and this is by design. They walk in lockstep. They would not be disparaging or ruining their brand or abandoning him in media because they live and breathe public relations. There's a method to the madness. They're not simply going to tell the world that the lights are on but nobody's home and then continue with the same candidate who, by the way, incidentally won his primary, which, of course, is a theatrical performance for Democrats. But hit subscribe. He will step aside. He remains president. Kamala Harris remains vice president. The nomination is open for anyone to theoretically win, and it's going to be Hillary Clinton. I know that people aren't excited and they don't want to hear that, but I'm telling you, it'll be Hillary Clinton who eventually gets the nomination. That's the end of August. They did this on purpose. They had an early debate on purpose so they could then switch horses midstream. Again, they're not going to tell the world. They have no faith in somebody who was allegedly the most popular candidate of all time, approaching 100 million Americans who wanted this man. They're not going to tell the world every single day that the leader of our country should step down only to have him continue finishing the contest. So hit subscribe to this channel. Let's listen to the complete meltdown in real time of the Democratic Party. By the way, this is the most detrimental thing Democrats could have done to themselves. They have sealed and secured a loss, and even in Congress. But see, again, they have deceived so often. They have engaged in such a grandiose act of deception for the past 4 years. They have no place else to go but to continue to try to deceive the country. Everyone knew what was going on. They're switching horses midstream because they need to for fundraising and other reasons. And I believe Hillary Clinton, at the end of the day, will be opposite Trump. This is unbelievable. Nobody could have even seen how detrimental this is. This is so detrimental to the Democratic Party, and it's embarrassing for the country as a whole. Even though I'm voting Trump, I want record low poverty, record highs in household median income, Doha agreement that Biden completely botched, first president to step foot in North Korea. Trump was a great president in terms of the economy and foreign policy. He was a great president. Democrats and media melted down as always and were apoplectic. And, you know, they wanted the political power. They have it now, and now they're completely dismantling their political party by forcing this man out, which is hilarious because he was supposed to be the most popular candidate of all time anyway. We all saw the writing on the wall. The writing is on the wall. I don't know what day he's going to step down, but he will step down. And I believe Hillary Clinton, at the end of the day, if you use process of elimination, will be opposite Trump. To my super chat, thank you. To the members of this channel, thank you. If you want to give a super thanks during the upload, please do. Your support is greatly appreciated. My Patreon is below. To my viewers everywhere around the world, in the Philippines, in Korea, in Nepal, in the UK, Canada, Australia. I have so many wonderful viewers around the world. New Zealand, thank you. God bless you. Let's continue.
This Fox News alert. It is an historic week. President Biden's bid for a second term on the line. The chorus of lawmakers, political analysts, and voters from the president's own party growing louder. They want the 81-year-old to step aside. The president saying, no way. It is the most crucial week of his political career, but not one public event on his schedule today. This is the Faulkner Focus. I'm Dagan McDowell in for Harris. No official events, but he did call into MSNBC just last hour to hammer this point home.
The bottom line here is that we're not going anywhere.
By the way, what do you want him to say? Do you want him to just not read the lines in the script of this theatrical performance? Of course he's going to say, I'm not going. What do you want this man, who was apparently the most popular candidate of all time, to say? Do you want him to say, okay, we're out, no problem, let's go. Okay, Hillary, if you want it, you have it. Of course he's going to say, no, we're not leaving. It's a song and dance. But if they live through public relations and this is taking place, they're not going to deliberately destroy and tarnish their brand. They're not going to overtly, their strategy is not to destroy their brand and continue with a tarnished brand. Their strategy, of course, was to replace him. They have enough time before the convention. And of course he's going to say, no, I'm not leaving.
Anywhere. I am not going anywhere. I wouldn't be running if I didn't absolutely believe that I am the best candidate to beat Donald Trump in 2024. We had a Democratic nominating process where the voters spoke clearly. I won 14 million of those votes, et cetera. So I not only believe that from the beginning, but I wanted to reassert it and demonstrate that it's true. And I'm going to be doing that all through this week. And
he won his primary in large part like he won the presidency, and like how Democrats win anything, through overwhelming media support. Now, the same media that catapulted him is the same media that's now tearing him down. Okay, you live by the media, your demise will be through public relations and hit pieces and editorial and media. This isn't rocket science.
From here on.
Hours after being sworn.
Senior House Democrats now calling on the president to step aside. Committee ranking members Jerry Nadler, Adam Smith, Mark Takano, and Joe Morrell are reportedly among them.
When Jerry Nadler who is a top Democrat, who is very important part of the Democratic Party machine, when Jerry Nadler is saying that Biden should drop out, and you look at the other people on here, these are all top Democrats, okay? When they're saying that Biden should drop out, okay, this is not only virtually scripted, but then you have donors leaving, then you have the hit pieces, then you have articles in MSNBC. So, of course, I don't understand why a lot of people look at a lot of Democrats, for example. I don't understand why a lot of Democrats look at this and say, well, the man we chose, Biden, is staying put. He said that he's staying, so therefore he's staying. It's like, well, yeah, look at the MSNBC article just from a couple of hours ago. 10 reasons Joe Biden should and shouldn't drop out and quit the 20. They would never, ever, ever publish anything like this. They're not about, Democrats and media work to silence any distrust or questions about their political machine. They're not in the business of asking questions. They're in the business of trying to erase from history any possible concern about their leadership, and trying desperately every single day to disparage, demean, and tear down Trump. Okay, this helps future President Trump. Everything they're doing now in media and with all these articles, the Democrats have called on Biden to step down. The Guardian CNN, several top House Democrats say Biden should step aside. This does not help the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party lives and breathes media and public relations and overwhelming, propaganda. This doesn't help them at all unless there's a political objective that they need to achieve before late August 19th, I think, before their convention, which is also a theatrical performance. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody. So I don't know why any Democrat would believe that he's staying simply because he's saying that he's staying. He also said that, everything was fine, and Democrats were also saying that, oh my God, he's perfect. So they're lying every second.
President Biden also using a letter to push back this morning. He wrote to congressional Democrats, quote, "I want you to know that despite all the speculation in the press and elsewhere, I am firmly committed to staying in this race, to running this race to the end, and to beating Donald Trump."
He's down in every swing state poll. He'll lose in a landslide. Hillary Clinton will lose also, but she could possibly win, and she gets closer than Biden. Okay? But anyway, let's continue.
Those typical Biden gaffes like this from yesterday cannot be helping his case.
Even when I was running for Senate, and each time I ran, quite frankly, not a joke, Philadelphia in particular got me across the line. No, I'm not joking. No, I mean it seriously. Organizationally and in terms of fundraising, the whole deal. But look, here's the deal.
A searing New York Post cover, another one this morning. Time to go, Joe. Some of the Democrat Party are vocally standing by their man.
President Biden can clearly defeat Donald Trump, the most dangerous president in the history of this country.
Yes, Bernie, the most dangerous president with record low poverty and record highs in household median income, Bernard Sanders. Yes, Bernie, allocating more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. Yes, the most harmful president, Bernard, brought home Americans from never-ending military conflict. First president to step foot in North Korea. Renegotiated trade deals, USMCA, and everything else you wish you could have done had you not been cheated by the Democratic Party and then forced to say that Vladimir helped you. Yes, Bernard, tell us more. We had record low poverty, record highs in household median income. We have double the interest rates now, as opposed to when Trump was in office, the most harmful president of all time, who presided over fantastic record growth, real wages up. Real wages have been down most of Biden's presidency. Crime is up. What else? Poverty has increased, and poverty was at an all-time low with Trump. I mean, this is when you have Bernie Sanders backing Biden, you know that the deception is at an all-time high. This is a man who not only was railroaded in a primary, but everything that he claims to care about in terms of defeating poverty, Trump was able to do that with record low poverty, record highs in household median income, interest rates that were half of what they were now for mortgages. Bernie Sanders knows very well that people are paying double the mortgage payment every month because of Biden's policies. Okay, he knows that inflation is still through the roof and high for inflation for food, energy, rent. So he knows that the economy was better before Democrats shut down economic activity in Trump's last year, and more people lost their lives of you-know-what under Biden's first year. And the most militant presidency compared in terms of militancy, Biden's presidency is far worse than Trump's was. So how on earth can this man say that Trump was a dangerous president? Because Bernie Sanders, and I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, which is both embarrassing for me and Bernie Sanders. But Bernie Sanders knows very well that Trump was a very good president. He can't admit that. He knows very well that Trump did things that he wishes he could have done, Bernie as president. Record low poverty, for example. Okay? Every demographic group, people who didn't have a college degree, people with a college degree did better under Trump than they're doing now. Okay? But he was cheated, and now he's part of the same machine trying to deceive people yet again. He's probably in on the whole fiasco the first time around in 2016. Probably, I would say.
And the choice is quite clear.
The only thing that I'm asking everyone to do is to unite around the ticket. The ticket at this point in time is Biden and Harris.
Joe Biden is the right Democrat right now in this cycle, and he's going to win.
Senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy with a whole lot to unpack. Hey, Peter.
Dagan, you guys just played a clip of that phone interview the president did this morning. At one point towards the end, you could hear him leafing through pages of something, and then he said, I'm reading from a list of things that Trump has said. But in that interview, he said he is not going anywhere, even though a Biden White House official is now telling the New York Times he really should. Part of the article says, after watching Mr. Biden in private, in public, and while traveling with him, the official said they no longer believed the president had what it took to campaign in a vigorous way. And
the New York Times would never in a million years, nor would MSNBC, the Washington Post, publish anything like this. These publications are DNC newsletters, essentially. The only reason they're publishing these things is that there's a concerted effort. It's essentially scripted. Who knows when he's going to leave officially or drop out officially, but it's going to happen. August is just, they have a little bit over 30 days before their convention. He's not going to be, almost certainly he won't be the nominee, but then who knows what they do. He becomes the nominee, then they give it to somebody else. Who knows?
Defeat Donald J. Trump. The official, who insisted on anonymity in order to continue serving, said Mr. Biden had steadily showed more signs of his age in recent months, including speaking more slowly, haltingly, and quietly, as well as appearing more fatigued in private. And the leaks coming out of this previously leak-proof White House are coming quick. A former advanced staffer released to Axios essentially a picture book showing President Biden how to get to a podium and how to exit a stage. Trump's advance director says they never did that for him. Some Democratic operatives say it's actually pretty common in D.C. Something not common, though. Biden's team sending questions to somebody interviewing him.
Were those questions given to you by the White House, or did you have, or the campaign, or did you have to submit questions ahead of this interview?
I want to buy your house. I can pay.
The questions were sent to me for approval. I approved them.
Okay, so the White House sent the questions to you ahead of the interview?
Yes.
Okay.
I got several questions, 8 of them, and the 4 that were chosen were the ones that I approved.
This is what we've got from officials in Wilmington. While the campaign insists that this is not at all an uncommon practice, a source familiar with the Biden booking operation tells Fox that they will refrain from offering suggested questions. Over the weekend, that radio host and her station in Philadelphia mutually parted ways. Apparently, the management did not like that during a presidential interview, the president's campaign was dictating what could be asked. Dagan.
Peter Doocy, thank you so much for that. Let us start with the Axios report that Peter just talked about. It includes the big font and lots of photos included in a template showing how staffers could prepare to guide Joe Biden exactly where he needs to go at events. Tammy Bruce, Fox News contributor. Oh, this is perfectly normal.
Yeah, totally. And it's been so normal. We've seen it from the beginning. This is not new. We've seen, little pictures of him with cards in his hands about who to call on, what the question will be. The question setups are not new. It's been a joke that he says, well, who am I supposed to call on? Or they're not going to let me call on you, or I'm not supposed. Oh, it's been indicated from during the campaign. And so this isn't new. The difference is the media is acknowledging it. And now they're just, they're judging it. Now, my God, isn't this awful? I think why the Bidens are digging in, perhaps why they should, is that this was the arrangement. This was the deal. That we're going to protect you. And they know that he wasn't capable, that we'll get you through this. We've got to beat Trump. And people know you. It's been 50 years. You're the only one who can do it because we can shape it. Don't worry, we've got your back. And then suddenly they don't have his back. And they don't have his back because they failed at kneecapping Donald Trump, which was the other piece of how he would win again. And this is the group that talks about democracy being in danger. Now that it has failed, their little scheme failed to get rid of Trump, they now are throwing this couple and that family under the bus that they knew, and they were going to be fine, and their reputations are destroyed. And now they're saying, I won the primaries. He did. The only way to remove him would be through the 25th Amendment, which would then require more scrutiny. And so now we're looking at people bullying this guy.
He can simply decide once they turn the heat up, hey, you know what? We're not going to protect you for any future investigations with a laptop. Hey, maybe Biden should, you know what? All the New York Times or Washington Post or MSNBC or CNN has to do, all they have to do is, hey, you know what? Maybe there was something to that laptop. Maybe, just maybe. And then suddenly he's, you know what? I thought about it, and I thought about it, man. It's better that somebody else faces Trump.
To abandon his post, effectively destroying the nature of the cohesion in the party and in the country itself for the world to watch. That's the Democratic Party. That's the failure in this country. And that's why it doesn't matter who the nominee is. That's the problem we've been facing in this nation.
Well, you mentioned the people who stood by, and I'll get to that, because his message, the way I read it, the letter, and what he's saying, the defiance is, you knew this was going on all along.
Right.
And now you turn?
Yes, exactly.
Right. So it's not just those Capitol Hill Democrats who want to see Biden step aside. Several Hollywood moguls want to see him replaced, including the co-founder of Netflix, movie mogul Jeffrey Katzenberg, who has been stage crafting and managing his campaign, Barry Diller, and Diller's wife, Dionne von Furstenberg. And we also have polling guru Nate Silver posting, I wimped out in today's column and deleted a line saying he should formulate a plan to transition the presidency to Harris within 30 to 60 days. But I'm there now. Something is clearly wrong here.
Everyone is abandoning ship. This is the political equivalent. The political equivalent of a political Titanic, okay? Everyone, the writing is on the wall. The man is not going to face Trump. Whether he becomes nominee, look, they're completely, Democrats have no concept, today's Democrats, with the way they run the primary, no concept of democracy. The man won the primary, and now they're forcing him out. So he doesn't need to step down from the presidency. He just needs to say, I am not going to run. Okay? Lyndon Johnson, I believe, stayed until Nixon was sworn in. So he doesn't need to actually completely drop out. He just resigns from the nomination process. That's it. That's it. And he'll do that, or who knows what they'll do. They'll nominate him, and then, God forbid, like somehow, some way, they switch horses right before November. Who knows? I don't even know. Who knows? Okay, but they're not doing this for no reason at all. Okay, this is all of these people, donors, politicians. The reality came crashing down during the debate. And then they realized, oh, we can't defeat Trump with somebody who's, the light where the lights are on, but nobody's home. The same people who gave Biden all of this are the same people who are taking this away.
The most generous way to put it is that he doesn't seem in command. And he also said this.
He hasn't come to grips with it. He's not winning this race. He's more likely, if you just look at the data and talk to people around the country, political people around the country, it's more likely that he'll lose by a landslide.
That was, of course, David Axelrod, former top Obama strategist. He also posted in reaction to the ABC interview that Joe Biden did that aired on Friday night. This was a piece on CNN, Denial, Delusion, Defiance. And let's just stand right there for a second. But my read on this was from Joe Biden, you have known all along, and don't you dare turn on me now, including Jeffrey Katzenberg. Yeah. Jeffrey Katzenberg's been castigated by those people in Hollywood for saying, he called him, I forget what the phrase was, like a superstar, he's got super energy or something to that effect.
Yeah, we've heard that kind of lie throughout when it became a bit more apparent, and how there were the cheap fake videos that Biden quite didn't know where he was. But now all those bets are off. The fact is that these are the individuals who have known from the beginning. The denial and all of that's been the media. It's been corporate America that had backed him and the Democratic Party. And this is the problem. When they talk about democracy, there's nothing in the Constitution that says you can put up an actor who will be framed by Katzenberg or anybody else or any other directors in Hollywood. And then when they want to, they'll just flip it over to somebody else. You're voting for the president, right? It's not like we'll vote for this guy and then we'll switch him out. This is an abuse of the system entirely. And we've seen it with Trump. They did effectively the same kind of fake dynamic of abusing the process with Trump. They've done it with Biden. But who is it really being done to? Us. This is happening to us. And they stand there and they crow about defending democracy. And now they just want him to transition. What part of elections involve the transition to somebody else and that you abandon this guy because he's losing in the polls?
Biden won his primary, okay, and media helped him do that, helped him get to the presidency. Okay, that's the way the current Democratic Party operates. This is democracy in 2024. Democracy, according to Democrats, is anything we want, anything they want. This is when they pick somebody other than Biden, and I've been saying for years they're gonna replace him. With Hillary Clinton, when they pick somebody other than Biden, they will tell the world, they'll give the world a definition of democracy, of what they feel democracy is, okay, which is essentially anything they want at any time.
Despite Americans voting, look, they've told us the entire time the 2020 election was an overwhelming 81 million people voted for Biden. He's the president. It's a real incredible success. And now it's like, you've got to just take the exit door. That's not how it works here. So we don't like what Biden's doing. It's horrible. I want him gone. And I want him gone on November 5th, and Donald Trump will be president on January 20th. None of this musical chairs stuff with anonymous people running the country. And you get rid of the actor because he suddenly has been exposed as not being the man he was sold as. Shame on them. There's a lot at stake here.
The image protection police, known as the media. Jen Psaki 3 weeks ago on MSNBC interviewing Jamie Raskin, accused the New York Post of inaccurately, falsely talking about Joe Biden freezing and wandering inaccurately, although the American people could see it with their own eyes 3 weeks ago and over a year ago. So how did things get to this point? A new opinion piece says that the media, as you were talking about, is complicit in ignoring Biden's decline. For months or even years, we have seen the liberal media.
The gentleman who wrote this op-ed it's hilarious that he was even published. Okay, he's part of the public relations apparatus that ignored Biden's decline. But let's continue. I mean, you can't. It's like now the same people who did everything possible who did everything possible to catapult this man into the presidency, are now saying, oh, yeah, we told you all along. It's like, no, you finally got on board because the attempt to cover up reality was just so ridiculous and absurd that, yeah, you finally kind of reluctantly got on board. But this is hilarious.
Say things like this.
He's very lucid, very well informed. He speaks quietly and a little bit slowly, but,
We've spent way too much time talking about this president's age.
He's totally focused. He's very sharp. And the proof is in the performance.
But comparing that guy's mental state, I've said it for years now, he's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact,
he's so cogent, they want him out now. The Democrats themselves, he's so cogent that they want a new nominee. Wow. That's cogent.
I think he's better than he's ever been.
One of the themes this election cycle is that Joe Biden is too old to lead. And so everyone is seizing upon this. And it is a classic disinformation tactic.
Another op-ed by longtime political journalist Mark Halperin, quote, the Trump-hating White House media betrayed voters by hiding Biden's alarming condition, and now it could backfire. The media's conspiracy of silence was intended to keep Donald Trump from returning to the White House for a second term. It is ironic that the deception and hypocrisy may be what, in fact, leads Trump straight back to the Oval Office. They were most concerned with reporting about what flag Justice Alito's wife was flying outside of her house. That was their Watergate, I suppose.
Yes, and even now, this conversation, while very important, because it's a part of this entire charade, but what we're not discussing, still the major issues on the minds of voters, immigration and the economy, continued inflation, the continued destruction of the future. People talk about making America great again. We want the future to be great again. And in order for that to happen, all of this has to change. But you're seeing the fact that this isn't a one-off or a bad night or just covering for a guy. This has been a collusion to gaslight the entire nation and the world. And people like Putin and Xi understand it, and so they are taking their actions. But we're going to be heard. And thank goodness Trump did not bow, because this has been a monumental scandal in American history.
Well, the gaslighting of your reality is not real has been true, not just about Joe Biden, but it's been true about inflation and their experiences with Joe Biden's economy and Bidenomics, about the open border. It's been true about everything.
Exactly.
So the American people know what's real and know what their reality is at their kitchen table.
So the way Democrats work is there's today's Democratic Party. There's a great deal of arrogance. They expect everyone to just simply fall in line. So they say that Trump supporters are part of a cult. The opposite is true. If Trump communicated the way Biden communicated, I wouldn't vote for him, even though I love his policies, which resulted in record low poverty, record highs in household median income. Okay? First president to step foot in North Korea, to begin détente between North and South Korea. These are all great things. Okay? But if he was meandering about, stumbling, bumbling, slurring his speech, I wouldn't vote for him. I wouldn't, and I certainly, if I decided to, I certainly wouldn't pretend that he wasn't doing these things. Okay, if he had a laptop, if he had servers with top secret intelligence, if he cheated, let's say Marco Rubio or whatever, in a primary, I wouldn't just say, you know what, that's fine. Democrats don't care. Okay, Bernie Sanders was cheated. Everyone still voted for Clinton. They didn't care. It's like they don't even care. It's, their quest is political power, and their reality is anything goes because it's a religion, and they're on the side of truth, justice, not necessarily the American way, but the liberal Democratic Party way. And so now they're expecting everybody to just accept it. And honestly, people will. The Democratic Party will. Let's continue.
Tonight, Washington's in the middle of a hostage crisis after Joe Biden took the entire Democratic Party captive. This morning, he sent a ransom note, a letter with a list.
I am not going anywhere. I wouldn't be running if I didn't absolutely believe that I am the best candidate to beat Donald.
By the way, again, what do you expect him to say? Okay, he can't give up that easily. He can't give up within a week or 2 weeks. People say, well, like Democrats say, oh, he's staying. Well, what do you expect them to say? You're like, okay, bye. Okay, the charade is up. Everything was a charade. You've caught me. You've caught me, man. Come on, man. What do you expect? Of course he's going to say I'm staying. The first lady doesn't want to go. But all they have to do is, one article. Maybe we should investigate the laptop.
Donald Trump in 2024. I'm here for 2 reasons, pal. One, to read.
I'm here for 2 reasons, pal. I love that.
Build the economy for hardworking middle-class people. Give everybody a shot. Just a straight shot. Everybody gets a fair chance. Number one. Number two. Remember all this talk about how I don't have the black support? Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president.
They're not giving up the theatrical. This is all theater. He is now trying to pretend to go up against the same people who catapulted him. This man couldn't have won mayor of any town in the world, slurring speech and wandering about in 4 years ago. When you make a deal with the devil, you're going to get the Corvette, you're going to get, the $1 billion, but then at the end of the day, you're not going to enjoy any of it because it's going to be taken from you. And he sold his soul to the Democratic Party, and now the Democratic Party, it wants it back.
Challenge me at the convention.
Biden's bunkered up with Hunter holding the party hostage, screaming at Morning Joe about the elites, the very people who put Joe in the White House and have been covering for him. Biden'd still be a Delaware senator if it wasn't for the CIA, Obama donors, FBI, and the media, who parachuted him into the presidency during COVID and hid his condition. Biden wanted to be Abe Lincoln so badly, he got himself into a civil war. Like a bunch of Arab Spring breakers, Democrats are gnashing their teeth at the gates of the White House, demanding Joe come out with his hands up.
Manage your electrical influence.
That he'll lose by a landslide than win narrowly this race. And if the stakes are as large as he says, and I believe they are, then he really needs to consider what the right thing to do here is.
I think he should.
When David Axelrod is saying that Biden will lose in a landslide, it's not Biden that has the political power within the Democratic Party. They gave him this. Okay, it's the party saying, that's it. You've enjoyed enough of what we've given you. And that's democracy in our country. It's one political party that has virtually all of media supporting it, all of Hollywood. Used to have tech, now it still really does have tech, and so, but now you have Trump, Trump's story has to be one of the greatest political comebacks, returns in world history. But let's continue.
Should step aside. I think it's become clear that he's not the best person to carry the Democratic message.
The need for him to step aside is more urgent tonight than when I first called for it on Tuesday. And every day he delays, it makes it more difficult for a new person to come on board who can defeat Donald Trump.
Mr. President, your legacy is set. We owe you the greatest debt of gratitude.
What a wonderful legacy. Even before his tenure is up, having already won the primary, Democrats want a new candidate in 24. What a great this is a legacy that, with friends like these, who needs enemies? This is the most tarnished, embarrassing legacy of all time. This makes what happened to Bernie Sanders seem, fair and neutral.
The only thing that you can do now to cement that for all time and prevent utter catastrophe is to step down and let someone else do this.
Biden's facing calls to step down from congressional leaders tied to the intelligence community. Top Democrats on intel, judiciary, and armed services are calling for Biden's head. The CIA made Biden, and they're about to break him. The president knows what a coup looks like. And
this aggressive way.
Miffed around here about how information's been shared with the press corps about him.
What are you missed about? What are you missed about?
Everything he just asked about.
And then every time I come back and I answer the question that you guys asked.
Incorrectly, you didn't have to come back and clean it up.
I never answered the question incorrectly. That is not true. I was asked about a medical exam. I was asked about a physical. That was in the line of question that I answered. And I said, no, he did not have a medical exam, and I still stand by that. Matter of fact, the president still stands by that. He had a verbal check-in. That is something that the president has a couple times a week. A couple times a week.
So this is a theatrical performance, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm telling you is not really, this isn't just theater. This is, Biden is not only pressing his luck. Let's say he actually is not part of the script or the theatrical performance. Let's say he really wants to stay. He pushes the envelope too far, and he presses his luck, and then what? 50 intel officials say, actually, we should investigate his laptop, the opposite of 4 years ago? It's like there's bribery and graft in that laptop. We know from the New York Post reporting where people were asking Hunter, how can you use your influence on the company's behalf? So he continues and continues, and then Democrats say, you know what, let's investigate this man, which it is not. That's what, if you sell your soul to the Democratic Party, that's what's going to happen. So it's like, it's kind of hilarious that he is even, I get it. He can't just simply say, oh, okay, I'm out. I'm done. I'm leaving. It was fun while it lasted. But at the same time, he keeps pressing his luck. Then who knows? Democrats, if they don't get what they want, they get into a frenzy. So who knows? They'll call to investigate him, all of that stuff. They might even try to impeach their own president, which is hilarious. Or the 25th Amendment.
Several House Democrats reportedly calling on President Biden to drop out of the 2024 race during a call held by Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries yesterday. Judiciary Committee Ranking Member Jerry Nadler, Armed Services Ranking Member Adam Smith, Veteran Affairs Ranking Member Mark Takano, and Administration Ranking Member Joe Morrell, all privately calling for Biden to step aside. So far, 5 House Democrats have publicly called on Biden to drop out. Florida Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna joining Maria on Sunday Morning Features yesterday, suggesting some Democrats may want Biden off the ticket so badly they may push for the audio tapes of Biden's interview with special counsel Robert Hur to be released.
So what you're saying is you've got these 25 Democrats who are pushing Joe Biden to drop out of the race, and you think that as a message that he needs to drop out, they're going to side with Republicans over the release of these tapes.
I think it's possible, and I think that's why you're seeing the pressure campaign launched over the weekend with Hakeem Jeffries calling that call. They definitely tried to squelch the dissent over the weekend, and it's not really working. Democrats are still upset.
Joining me now is Ohio Congressman Warren Davidson. He is a member of the House Financial Services, Foreign Affairs, and Weaponization of the Federal Government Subcommittee. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl. Thanks for talking with me today.
So it's back to work for you today and your colleagues, and a lot has happened since you took recess, to be clear here. In particular, I want to get your thoughts on this meeting of Hakeem Jeffries, which obviously the reports say that several committee chairs now want Biden to step down. And also your reaction to what was said to Maria, that these Hur tapes now need to be released, and it's the Democrats that are going to push for that.
Well, look, Republicans have pushed for the release of those tapes for a while. That's why Merrick Garland has been subpoenaed, and we meant it. And Ana Paulina Luna has offered a resolution to basically give that full force so the Sergeant at Arms could actually detain Merrick Garland. It would obviously provoke a constitutional crisis. I think her point is to say, we get Democrats joining us to make that call. Maybe one of the most validated guys in American politics at this point is Dean Phillips. My colleague in the House stepped down from a safe Democrat seat and said, look, we can't go forward with Joe Biden. He's probably not going to be the nominee. They work to kind of shun him because he spoke the truth. People have known this all along, and now all of a sudden over the past week, post-debate, it's some revelation. Everyone's already known. It's been the worst kept secret in politics.
I've got Tricia McLaughlin on set with me. She's got a question about the Hurt tapes. Go ahead, Tricia.
Politically, sir, I wanted to follow up on Rep. Luna believes that Democrats will join in this call for the tapes to be released. Do you realistically think your colleagues on the Democrat side will do that, given the political vulnerability? The attack du jour against former President Donald Trump by the Democrats is that he's a convicted felon. Well, if Robert Hur hadn't refused to prosecute Joe Biden because he's an elderly man with a poor memory, he would very well be a convicted felon as well. What's your take on that?
If you're turning 60.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Is Joe Biden wasn't viewed by her as mentally competent to even face a trial. Let's have the tapes. And I think that'll probably bring into a lot of question. I think the reason Democrats won't break ranks is because of what you're talking about. Is it calls into question every executive order he's made. How valid could it be? Was he mentally competent at the time? Of course, his staff will say, oh, no, he was very lucid at the time he signed this. The reality is people have talked with him and say, he doesn't even realize what some of the executive orders he signed do. When he banned, the export of liquid natural gas, he thought he was funding some kind of study or something. He didn't really understand what he was doing. So, that's alarming for the president of the United States, the most powerful country in the world, in the history of the world, and the commander in chief to be that incoherent. And everyone saw it on the debate stage, and that's why people are talking about it so much now, is he couldn't hide. He had 90 minutes and couldn't hide from the fact that this has been a cover-up for years.
And that's why there's been so many calls for the tapes to be released. I want to move on to news of the week, and that obviously is NATO. President Biden back on the world stage tomorrow. We are hosting the NATO summit. The United States is in Washington. He's expected to.
So this is what's probably going to happen. He's probably going to, for the next week or so, 2 weeks, the speech coming up, he's probably going to look somewhat presentable. They have a balancing act now, ladies and gentlemen. They want him out, but they don't want to convince the world that indeed they have covered up a man who should never have been president. So they have to allow him to show the world that he's somewhat capable of communicating. The reality, though, is that any future debate with Trump, and there has to be another debate with the Democratic challenger, will be another catastrophic failure for Biden. If he's forced in front of the world to stand for 2 hours in front of Trump, and let's say Trump doesn't hold back. I love the fact that Trump held back because it highlighted and you felt sorry for Biden. But if Trump doesn't hold back, and then Biden is forced to then kind of try to, defend himself or retaliate, who knows what he says, for a soundbite that everybody can, replay a million times, you're talking a landslide loss. So it's a balancing act. He can't say that he's just going to leave because the charade is up. He doesn't want to simply leave without showing the world that he still can communicate somewhat. But at the end of the day, he's going to withdraw. He'll resign from the 24 contest. He'll remain president. they'll pick Hillary Clinton at the convention. It'll be Trump-Hillary 2024, which is exactly what 2016, the end of 2016, was always about. It was always about Clinton and Democrats. The past 7 years, the past 8 years, has been about trying to get 2016 rectified. Okay, Democrats, media, we have the most unintelligent intelligentsia of all time. They've all believed that 2016 was a mistake that needs to be rectified. And so, what better way than Hillary Trump 2024? Anyway, the writing's on the wall, people. When Biden says that he's staying, that's the same exact statement as inflation was 8 or 9% when he took office. Okay? Complete and utter nonsense. Okay, hit subscribe to this channel if you're new. God bless you all. God bless America. God bless Joe Biden. I'm not like a frothing at the mouth liberal Democrat who has only vitriol for this man. No. I'm not like, I don't like, obviously, what he's done to the country and to the world. It's a complete, total failure in every way, shape, and form. His presidency has been a catastrophic failure. That's why they're replacing him. If he was an actual success, they would say, you know what, he's so successful, we're going to keep him. But he's been a terrible failure, in addition to the fact that, the lights are on, but nobody's home. But the issue, ladies and gentlemen, is that Democrats, when they replace him, are going to, perhaps for 10, 15 years, completely destroy their political party, which is amusing to see, but it's embarrassing for the country, because this is not what democracy looks like. And these are the people that pontificate about democracy all the time. Okay? He stays as president. This is how it works, and I'll let you go. Okay? He stays as president. Okay? Kamala Harris stays as vice president. He, within the next couple of weeks, 1 day, 2 days, decides to withdraw. They can tell him that they're going to investigate the laptop. They can increase the hit pieces. The donors can dry up. People will refuse to give money. Whatever. Okay? He finally bows out, drops out, and and there you go. And there you go. This is not difficult. This is not rocket science. Hillary Clinton then faces Trump. She loses again, but she raises enough money to help maybe down ballot Democrats. Maybe they're able to keep the Senate. Who knows? Probably not. But at the end of the day, this isn't rocket science. So, like I said, he can remain president. Kamala Harris can remain vice president. He drops out of the primary or the nomination process. The primary he won. Hillary Clinton then takes the nomination at the convention. She raises more money than you ever imagine in your life. The New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, all of Hollywood, Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, they all say that Hillary Clinton, if you don't vote for her, you're a terrible human being who should never have been born. And it gets close in the Rust Belt states, but Trump still wins. Hit subscribe to this channel.